Yeah, so glad you could make it in today. How's your week been going?
Pretty good. It's
Good.
all right. Yeah.
Good. Well, let's get right into it. So I know last week we were kind of talking about you're coming up on your 6-month anniversary of divorcing your ex-husband.
Yeah.
Have you been thinking about that lately?
Mhm. Yeah, actually, yeah, it's been on my mind.
Yeah. The thoughts that have been on your mind, has it been him specifically? Has it been more your guys' relationship, how it's been affecting you?
I guess I just kind of feel like I failed in a way to fix my relationship, and I took the easy way out and just getting a divorce when maybe I could have worked through it.
Yeah. So feeling some shame in there, it sounds like.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. It's hard to not take that kind of stuff personally.
Yeah.
How have you been feeling, like, emotion-wise? Have you been feeling, just, you feeling down, you feeling happy, you feeling...
Honestly, just overwhelmed by it.
Overwhelmed, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you been feeling, like, unsafe? Because I know there was some abuse and there was some domestic violence in the past. How has your safety been like?
I mean, I don't feel unsafe in terms of whether he's gonna come find me, but rather I don't feel super comfortable being alone.
Okay, like alone because you're scared of your thoughts, you're scared you might hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this ever something that you've had to deal with before?
Off and on throughout the marriage, but never like this.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of want to dive deeper into that just because, your safety is our biggest priority. So would you be okay if we did a little suicide assessment?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a quick little, we'll just kind of go over some questions. We just want to make sure that we're not missing anything and that we're paying attention to those feelings and we can get ahead of them before they get too big.
Perfect.
So, I guess we'll just kind of jump right into it. So, have you had any thoughts in the last 2 weeks that you've been 2 weeks or longer, excuse me, that you have wished that you were dead or you wouldn't be alive anymore, or like you'd fall asleep and you wouldn't wake up?
I mean, yeah, in a way, just kind of wishing that it would all just stop.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so it's just kind of there, but you don't want it to be there. You don't have a plan or a plan with like a time and a place and a when.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. And have you ever thought about done any like self-harm actions, whether that was cutting, burning?
I mean, again, like somewhat throughout my marriage, not a I wouldn't say like a regular thing, more semi-regular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's definitely been something that has been a maladaptive coping skill for you.
Yeah.
I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess my next question for you is, have you ever had any suicide attempts in the past?
No.
Okay. Like, have you ever gotten to a point where you almost wanted to attempt, or?
I mean, yeah, there were times where the thought crossed my mind, but it was never, like, I didn't even know how I would have gone about doing something like that. It was, yeah.
Okay. Could you tell me how often you're having these suicidal thoughts?
I'd say on average, it's about, like, once or twice a week.
Okay. Once or twice a week. Okay. And how would you rate the intensity or the severity of how strong these thoughts are on an average?
On average instance, I'd say that they're like 6 or 7.
Okay.
But yeah, on the occasion it'll get really intense, like at 8 or 9.
Is there like any sort of descriptive word that you can think of to just like explain that? Is it consuming? Is it fleeting? Is it panicking?
It's like this crushing. Yeah.
Okay. That's a great way to describe that. Yeah, thanks for answering those questions. I do want to circle back to the feelings that you're having right now. So just because you are experiencing thoughts, you have a modality and it is causing you some distress, would it be okay with you if we made up a safety plan?
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
Okay. Yeah, and like there's nothing in here. I don't want you to worry about like being like a risk of being hospitalized or anything right now. Like that's not an anxiety. The safety plan is just more for your peace of mind and for you to when you're experiencing the distress that comes from this, to be able to have something that's already written out, that you don't have to like think about, and it's just already done for you. So I kind of have a little outline thing that we can start with.
Okay.
So I guess the first question that we can start with is, when do you think you'll be prompted to use the safety planning?
Meaning like when
Like
I would feel distressed to the point where I need to
yes.
do something. Okay.
When do you feel that triggering those feelings?
I mean, it's mainly just in the quiet moments when I'm not busy doing something else and when people aren't with me, and it's mainly just when I'm by myself. So after work, getting ready for work in the morning, on the weekends, that kind of thing.
Okay, so kind of more subtle moments where you have a minute to yourself and your brain just kind of goes like what like
immediately where it goes.
Okay. That makes sense. And is there anything that happens before any of these events specifically, such as you have to argue with somebody, your kids, for example, to get up in the morning, and that just
the co-parenting doesn't help. But yeah, I think it's mainly just feeling like maybe they would be better if they just were with him, and like maybe they would just be like not doing the back and forth, like maybe that would just be better. And so yeah, getting up and trying to get them up and they don't want to, and it's just a whole thing, and thinking like
that makes sense, and that can definitely cause a lot of distress when you're already you're hurting, you're grieving, and feeling that is a lot. So how do you communicate with him in those times? Like, do you guys text? Do you have a schedule?
Yeah, so we do have a schedule. We drop off at his parents' house, and we communicate through a parenting app. So
okay. And when you are texting or doing those drop-offs or anything, is there any words that trigger you? Any topics that you have to talk about? Anything that he does that you're just like, oh my god?
Him being behind on child support, I think, also just makes me feel like I can't ask also, because then I also feel like they should just be with him anyway, and
okay. Yeah, and that, I think a lot of that also, it sounds like it's some of your depression that you're experiencing also.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that has had a tie into these feelings, or?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe, do you feel, when you do start to feel that, does it rise in your stomach? Is it like is it a body panic? Is it a mind panic? What are you
I'd
feeling?
call it pretty full body.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it, let's kind of go deeper into that. What kind of full body is it? What full body emotion, I guess?
I think just like...
It's like, is it tension? Is it burning? Is it like feeling like you're suffocating?
Yeah, I kind of like suffocation, just kind of like the knee-jerk reaction is just to get out, to do something, just to get it over with.
Okay, more fight or flight reaction.
It's kind of like claustrophobia or something.
Okay, yeah. What are some other things that might cause you distress? Like, does canceling plans, speaking to a boss, anything like that? Like,
handling bosses, people who are above me or in authority over me, is definitely a trigger.
Yeah. Okay. Does that tend to be more frustrating? Is it more of a you don't know what you're doing? Or
Yeah.
where does that come from?
I think it just makes me, it's like, yeah, being addressed by a superior is just like all the thoughts leave my head, and I'm right back in that space of being like an underling, a subservient.
Kind of feeding into the more of that shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, yeah. Is there any other kind of warning signs? You know, any recurring thoughts that you have? Any images that you think of? Certain moods that kind of switch and you start to feel more suicidal or more. Oh, that would be nice to just not wake up or things like that.
I think being around my family too is a little much, because I feel like they have an expectation of how I'm supposed to be doing already. And it's I guess it's just more of that shame of just I'm not living up to their expectations for how I should be post-divorce either.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And what have you done when you have experienced, it can be these things specifically or other experiences that have led to feeling suicidal, wanting to self-harm, or just feeling unsafe and kind of bad?
Yeah.
What have you done that has been effective in helping you cope in those moments?
I typically like to get out of the house.
Okay.
So either a walk or a drive, go grab some food, just to not be, secluded, I guess.
Okay. Walking, driving. No, that's a great coping skills, especially somatically, because you do feel that fight or flight, like getting physically moving yourself that's really helpful. Walking and driving. Would you say that how are your social supports? Do you have good social supports, would you say?
Yeah, I have a couple friends. We don't talk super often just because things are really busy right now, and so a little bit of my connections have kind of fallen through just a little bit, so
Okay. But if you did call them up, would you feel supported? Would you feel like they would be there for you in any circumstance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, there's some hesitation there.
I wouldn't want to be a bother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But when you do get over that, I don't want to be a bother, do you feel like that connection is something that helps you?
Yeah.
When you're through the other side of it? Okay. So connecting with others. Maybe could you give me like one or two names of people, specific people that you feel like you could reach out to?
Leslie and Stephanie.
Okay. I think I remember you talking about those names in previous sessions. Those are your, friends of yours, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, one is my friend from college, the other is my cousin.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So when you end those conversations with them, do you feel better? You feel like the burden has been like lifted in some sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say so.
Okay. Yeah. What other coping strategies have worked for you?
Honestly, sometimes I just go to bed.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
don't continue to stew on it. I will just go to sleep.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Put a shower on, go to sleep.
Do you feel like that comes from more of a place of avoidance, or would you say it's more
Probably.
about having distraction?
Maybe both, actually.
Okay. So maybe what we can work on, and again, with safety plans, like they can always be changed. We can always update them. We can always, figure out what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something that we can try is this week focus on when you do have that inclination to, I want to go to sleep. I just want to turn the show. See if it feels like it's because you're wanting a healthy distraction, or if it's because you are wanting to avoid the problem.
Okay.
And just kind of be mindful of like how your body feels, how your brain feels, how just where your intentions are coming from. You don't have to change anything about it. You just have to notice it.
Sure. Okay.
Does that sound like something that would be helpful for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. And and like I said, we can come back to this also. Okay. And I know we kind of talked about your friend Leslie and Stephanie.
Yeah.
Is there any other people who you feel like you could ask for help for, even if it wasn't necessarily to talk and tell them how you're feeling. Just anybody who you could say, I'm feeling unsafe, or I need to go to the crisis center, or whatever.
Yeah. I have a coworker who I could rely on to do that.
Okay, awesome. And what is their name?
Brian.
And I'll give you a copy of this, and you can go home and write their phone numbers on this as well.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Okay, and I know that you have been working with me primarily for therapy.
Yeah.
But you were referred here from a religious. It was the Catholic Community Services, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So I know that you have had some great contacts over there. Do you feel like that is still a good supportive place for you to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Like if there's just anybody, because the reason I'm asking is because there is a section on the safety planning that talks about professionals or agencies that you can contact during crisis.
Yes. Yeah.
So more of that professional side,
Yeah.
I guess. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay. So CCS, and again that'll be a phone number we can put up here. And the last question that I kind of have for you right now is making your environment safe. So, what do you have any like lethal weapons in the house? Access to anything that like guns, knives, medications?
I do have my medications, which
Okay.
yeah, that's a little bit of an issue, but no weapons.
Okay, so no weapons. That's good. What about would you ever be consider maybe doing like something for med management, like getting one of those pill packers, or organizing your pills, putting them in a lockbox that you can only access when you can be of clear mind?
I've thought about that. I probably should.
Okay, yeah. What one of those steps feels like it would be the most convenient?
Probably a lockbox.
Okay. Lockbox for meds. And do you know anybody that has access to any like firearms, any things like that you would have access to?
I mean, my parents, but
Okay.
yeah.
But they kind of, how do they keep their guns?
They do have them in a safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Yeah. I guess, is there anything else that you feel like is important to you and your safety? Anything in regards to feeling suicidal, self-harm, anything like that is just important to put on here, because the safety plan is customizable. Like we want to take things away, we want to add things, we want to make changes, we want to keep it updated so that it is actually helpful for you.
Yeah, I think that covers most of my bases. So I'll think on it, of course, and we'll see what else we need to add.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll give you a copy of this. I'll keep one for my notes, but we can find different ways to make it accessible for you too. If it needs to be in an email, if you print it out, if it's your screensaver, like whatever. There's a lot of different options we can have for just remembering to learn to go back to this when you are feeling those moments of crisis. Even just practicing before it gets to that point, right?
Yeah.
Just being like, oh, I'm feeling some tension. Like, let me just review my safety plan. Or I'm about to go meet up with my ex-husband, and I know he's going to do something that's going to piss me off. Let's just review my safety plan, remember what I can do to help keep myself calm.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that I'll have you work on, is thinking about some more of the practical coping, not practical, the more immediate coping skills, like box breathing. I know we've been working on that a lot lately. Doing things like taking a step back, counting down, whatever it is that you need to do to just reset before you kind of go from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
So we'll just
perfect.
think about more coping skills with me. I really appreciate it, and feel. How do you feel now that we've gotten that done?
I feel a bit more in control of it, and a little bit more, like now somebody knows that I can work on it.
Yeah. And do you feel like you have options to respond to those thoughts and feelings that you're having when you are in those moments?
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, and as you go about your week, like you're gonna have more things that are gonna come up. You're gonna notice new things, and that's great. I want you to just take note of those things, bring it back to session. Let's see what's working, what doesn't, and yeah, it just all comes down to safety. So how are you feeling? Like, where's your suicidality at today?
Today, I'd say it's just like at a 3, 4-ish.
Okay. So like thoughts are there, but it's more when you're more distracted, right? Like you said, like when there's in between time.
When there's in between time, when I'm not doing something, when I'm not talking to someone. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, great. And like if it ever does get too much and you're like, wow, this is a new level, like I don't know what to do, like we have the MCART resource, 988, 911. If you can't get a hold of your crisis like support, on your safety plan, like if you can't get a hold of any of your contacts, please reach out to emergency lines or myself. But yeah, I really appreciate you doing that with me. And for the remainder of the session, do you want to keep talking about how we're feeling about the 6-month anniversary? I know that, like you said, it kind of does bring up some things for you. So.
Yeah.